again and welcome back. If you are new around here, then hello, it's nice to meet you, and if you are returning, then thank you very fucking much for coming back. My name is Alana and I'm a 34-year-old lady from Scotland. That is where the accent's from, and this is your word of warning that I do like to say fuck, shite and bugger quite a lot. If you're not into that, then please feel free to leave right now. That's quite alright. Not going to tie you up for it, it's okay. But if you're into that kind of thing, there's a subscription button down here. Feel free that way as well. Feel free to watch another few videos. I know what I'm like, nah, not quite sure if I like this kind yet. Need to try another one. That's alright, don't mind. Today we have glorious, glorious fresh sunlight. Like, I know, like, right, I always talk about the fact that the weather in Scotland is shit, right? I know that. But the thing is, like, this is what a Scottish person looks like when there's sunshine, because you're just like, yeah! Fucking actual sunshine. I'm sure, like, people who live up in Canada and stuff like that probably feel quite similar, because when it is winter from pretty much October right through till around about March, April probably, if I'm more honest with you. And today it is absolutely beautiful. I think I've said it in the last few videos, but today is the first proper day where I feel like it is actually springtime, so that is lovely. So nice. This video is going to be my February roundup. If you've never watched any of my roundup videos before, what I tend to try and do is at the start of every month I try and have a what's new video, maybe things that I've picked up recently, things that I've never shown on the channel before, things like that, and things to expect to see in the coming months. And then I do a roundup video at the end of every month where I try and talk about the things that I've either spoke about at the start of the month or things that I spoke about a few months ago at the start, because it might be something like a skincare item that I need to use over a few months. And then I, at the roundup videos, talk about them, whether they've been any good, whether they've been utterly shite, whether they're worth your money, and that kind of stuff. Sometimes I like to throw in a little bit of TV and reading as well, because I do like reading a book. So if you're into that kind of thing, then just keep on watching. Honestly, like, I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled today with how sunny it is. Like, I know, I go on about it all the time. This is your word of warning, grab yourself a cuppa, because it's going to be a long one. We all know I like to ramble. But I just am like, oh, it's just lifted my spirits greatly, because see, being in the dark, dismal fucking rain all the time, it's dire. Absolutely dire. So, got myself a wee cup of coffee today. Still not really back on the booze yet. Not because I'm frowning on having a booze or anything. Do you know what it is? I just hate the fact that, I think I've said it before, like, we like to go into the pub. We like going, oh, obviously it's natural sunlight, the lighting will go in and out, I'm afraid, I'm sorry, but it's the sun. There's nothing I can't just call them up and have a word with them. But I really love going to the pub. I love the fact that if you go to the pub, there's a bit of like community aspect to it. Most of the time, for me, Sunday afternoon in the pub is where it's at. And honestly, with not being out anywhere and not having nice meals and things, I really just haven't been drinking that much. Let's start. Got my little journal. So let's start off with skincare. It's very minimal this month. Oh my, can you see this? What are you doing? What? What's wrong? What is it? Can you see her? She's like under, she's being a wee widow. I think her big sister was chasing her there. Right, so I'm going to talk to you about this. This is the Lumen Sisu, that is the Urban Antidotes Defend and Replenish Antioxidant Mist. This and the oil, the cleansing oil, that is still in my bathroom. I'm still working with that. We might come back to that at some point, but it's not what we're going to chat about today. So this basically says that you use like a spray. It's like a nice refreshing spray. But also it says, because it's like an urban, it's to stop any kind of environmental things with your skin. Does that work? I don't know. Like, I'm not a scientist. I'm not going to claim that this is a set in stone that it works. What I will say is it's beautiful, like, for spraying on your face. Now, if you know anything about me and my skincare, I love skincare. And I always like to spray my face before I put anything like an essence or a serum on. Reason being, if you're using anything that has hyaluronic acid in it, then that will hold on to that moisture, rather than it just dissipating into the ether or actually maybe sucking some moisture from your face. Videos up here about skincare if you fancy that kind of thing. So I do really like a facial spritz, but what I've found is I'm still using my Avène. That is my favourite, my absolute favourite. But this comes in handy day to day when I'm just like, I just need a little bit something extra. Or on days when I'm not wearing any makeup at all, like I'll spritz this on. I just have found it really nice. What I may well do is if I get another facial spray, I will keep this sprayer because the spray on it is absolutely like the long whoosh spray of it is beautiful. It smells quite nice, it is fragranced. Is it, like I say, is it doing all this like antioxidant environmental stuff to protect your skin? Probably not. Like, I know I'm so cynical, but I'm just like, I don't know about that. I wouldn't say since I've been using it over the last few months that I'm like, oh, do you know what, now my skin has improved greatly, or I've not been out enough. I've not been out enough in the environment, on like, you know, the underground or anything like that, or on buses or anything like that. I've not been doing anything that really involves the environment too much. But it's urban antidotes. I don't know if you want to give it a go. I think Lumen as a brand, or a brand that I'm really like, I don't know whether to just let myself fall in love with you or not, because some things I'm like, this is really nice. I'm really glad I bought it. I don't regret buying it. I'm really enjoying it. Probably won't pick it up again, but if I see another spray from them that I think is more geared towards maybe hydration or glow or something, am I going to pick it up? Yeah, absolutely, because I really enjoyed this. And their Hydric Nordic, I always say this, the Nordic Hydra, sorry, that moisturising balm, the 24-hour replenishing moisturising balm for nighttime. Initially I was like, is it worth 30 quid? Nah, probably not. Then realised no, it wasn't actually 30 quid, it was £17. It was this one that I was mixing it up with, and then I ended up falling in love with that moisturiser so much that I've actually looked into more from the brand. So I'm like really on the fence with them. I'm really on the fence. Like, I like the things they do, I like the whole look ethos of the brand, all that kind of stuff. I like that kind of thing, but I'm like, am I being daft? Am I just being roped in by marketing because I really enjoy it? This one here is the Lumen Invisible Illumination Instant Glow Fresh Skin Tint. So this is the one that has a little bit of tint to it, but it's basically a tinted moisturiser. This is something that I kind of think this could be in a tube. Sorry, again, the sun, sorry. It's just the way it is. But this was £30, around about £30 mark. So this is a little bit more expensive for what it is. I don't know if I would ever buy this one again, but in saying that, over the last few months, it's one that I've kind of dipped into quite a lot. As you can see, there is a substantial amount there that I have used. Over the last month, I have pretty much been going to very barely there makeup because I wasn't well a lot of the time, but also because I did have a very heavy foundation that I was trying throughout the month, which I was just a bit like, I need some fresh skin. So this, along with this at the moment, this is from number 7, the Hydra Luminous Aqua Release Skin for Perfector. These two are probably two things I have been reaching for the most throughout the month, with regards to a little bit of something there, but not a lot of anything. And initially, again, I don't think I will repurchase this, but I've kind of changed my mind a little bit on this. Like, I enjoy it. I've been enjoying it. The more I'm using it, I'm like, actually, it does a good job for what I'm expecting. But will I pay 30 quid for it again? Absolutely not. If I seen it in TK Maxx for 12, 15 pounds, then yeah, maybe I would. And again, the packaging, I just feel like this could possibly be in a slightly better packaging for what I would deem as a more cosmetic product. But who am I? Now, just circling back to a bit of skincare, because this was another thing that I spoke about at the start of the month in my What's New video. This is the Glow Hub, and this is their Calm and Soothe Cool Whip Moisturising Cream infused with hemp and jojoba. Now, I said at the start of the month, I was like, absolute marketing ploy. I have been roped in because I thought this looked kind of glossy and a bit cool, girl. Oh, Lana, this is probably for 15-year-olds, but you know what, you're a numpty and you got whipped in by it. But this is really fucking nice. Like, I was actually shocked with how much I've been enjoying this. So this one here, as it says, it's for calming and soothing. So I don't know what it would be like if you had really irritated skin. If you had a really irritated rash I would probably say don't put anything perfumed or anything like that on it. Just from a nursing point of view, I'm like, use something really simple, really simple, and just soothe the skin. But if you are known to be somebody who gets like flare-ups or just like angry skin, or if you've got skin, I mean not this time of year obviously, but if you had a little bit of too much sun on the face, anything like that, I could imagine this is very soothing. If you had itchy skin, I can imagine this is quite soothing. Again, I am not a dermatologist. I am simply a nurse and just a skincare enthusiast. So always speak to somebody more professional. It's got this little like lid on the top, which is very tightly sealed, however much I use of it. Now, I have made a really good dent in it, if you can see there, and it is a very big tub. It's a substantial size tub for the price of it. I will link everything down below if I've spoke about it so you know what prices are. I started off using it at night because I was basically replacing the Lumen one that I was talking about, the Nordic Hydra, and I was like, okay, this is actually really nice. Like I get up in the morning and I feel like my skin is still quite bouncy, but it's not greasy, which is always a plus point, because sometimes, I mean, I don't mind going to bed with like an oil type thing on my face, but sometimes I just don't like that heavy slick feeling on my face, even though I've got dry skin, and it didn't do that. It gave me a really bouncy, and I want to say like a fluffy feeling to my face. I know that sounds mental, but it's not heavy either. It's borderline on a gel cream. Borderline. I don't know how to explain it. It's basically like, I feel like it soaks into the skin nice. I don't feel like it leaves the skin greasy. I feel like it's leaving a really, like a cloud on my face. And it's soothing. So weirdly, really enjoying this. So much so that I also started using it during the day as well. And very affordable and pretty cute. Kind of like it. Now let's circle back to some cosmetics. So as I was saying, the No. 7 Hydra Luminous, the Aqua Relief Skin Perfector. This one I picked up I was just nosy. I just seen it and I thought, oh, what is this? And I think I've used it in one video on here so far. It was maybe back over Christmas. And I was like, oh, this is not the right thing to be using with this look, because it was a really heavy and dark look, and this is a very light, barely there tinted moisturizer type of thing. What I'm gonna say is, I, as you know, love the No. 7 Hydra Luminous foundation. I think it's a beautiful foundation. It's a light to medium coverage. I would also say that is probably more in a BB cream realm. This is lighter than that, so this is less than that. And I picked this up in the shade Light. That's kind of what the girl in the shop, again, in between when we weren't quite in lockdown, said that I would probably be more suited for if I was using Warm Ivory. I find this is a little cooler than that. It's maybe just a smidgen too light, just a little bit, because I like that slightly more golden glow. So it's lovely though if I mix it with a pump of this. And this is the Beauty Pie All in Wonder Illuminating Primer. Been using this for a while now as well. As you can see, I'm getting through it quite a bit. This is glorious with pretty much anything. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really enjoying this, really like it, even though annoyingly so because I've left Beauty Pie now. But I just think this is really good. This is like, it's like Glossier Future Dew, but just a little bit more, like there's a bit more tint to it, there's a bit more something to it. It's definitely much more of a primer, whereas Glossier Future Dew is definitely more of an oil skincare type situation. But these two mixed together, that's what I've been wearing to work. And I've said it before, I go to a 12.5-hour shift. I don't wear makeup to work. Like, what the fuck is the point? Like, patients don't give a shit what you're looking like as long as you're looking after them. But I just kind of thought, I want to give this more of a try. I want to give it a chance. And I thought, what better place to use it than work, because I don't want any heavy coverage. I just want something to even out the skin tone and look fresh, but it's all going to be under a mask anyway. So this being this kind of Aqua Release 8-hour hydration, I thought, yes, okay. So I've mixed a pump of these each together in the morning, rubbed it all over my face, and off I've went, and I think it's really nice. So if you're someone who's really not into coverage at all, just wants that slight, like, I can't even say evening out of the skin tone, because it's not when you do that. I hate when, was it the Glossier skin tint, remember they had that, the little droppery thing, and they were like, oh, it evens out skin, and I was like, no, it doesn't really do much at all. But there is something to this, there's something to this, but it's just like a really, really nice tinted moisturiser. And it's, again, a like cooling, soothing feeling. It feels like a watery feeling going on your face. Take it out what you will. Today I am eating a Cadbury brunch bar. Oh, sorry. I just took a cup of coffee. I just took a drink of my coffee there and a bit of that brunch bar, and I went down the wrong tube and I nearly choked myself to death. So I'm feeling like, you know that way your eyes start watering, and I thought, oh my god, I'm actually going to choke to death and nobody will know because it'll just be on film. I'll be dead and nobody will know. Anyway, let me move on now. Sorry, I just totally got sidetracked there because I thought I nearly died. Okay, so let's move on to some more cosmetics. This here, the Rimmel Lasting Radiance SPF of 25 Medium Coverage Anti-Pollution Foundation. This definitely used to be called Wake Me Up Foundation, and they slightly rebranded. It still had like the orange cap, but it was called Wake Me Up Foundation. I remember it was Kate Moss that done the advertising on it. Maybe about 10 years ago, and it's kind of like, it's a foundation. Don't know if you're going to see it in the bottle there, but it's got a slight pearlescent shimmer through it. You don't really see that on your face, I'm not going to lie, but I picked this up last year, I want to say. It does last for 24 months, but I picked this up to do a 10-year comparison, like what I wore my makeup like 10 years ago and what I wear it like now. And I bought this because I thought that's definitely the one I used to use. And actually, I pulled it out when I done my declutter and started using it again, and actually pleasantly surprised with it. I think it's really nice. Again, I have been mixing it with like this, or sometimes I actually mixed it with some of the Lumen because I wanted just a little bit more dewiness and a little bit more freshness to it. But it's not a heavy coverage foundation, I have to say that for a start. If you're doing something really hydrating as your base, then this will go really nicely on top of it. I didn't find it clung to anything, I didn't find it was patchy at all, anything like that. It's not drying, it didn't dry down as if it was like a matte and flat concealer. It's concealer foundation, it's not like that at all. So actually, if you are a bit more of a kind of budget friendly shopper and you like buying things out of Boots and Superdrug and that, and you don't really buy anything online, and this is more your realm, then this is really fucking nice. I have the shade, hold on, how do I even find the fucking shade? I don't know. 70, which is in porcelain, which again is probably that little bit more yellow tone than my skin, but we've discussed this already. I probably prefer going for something that's slightly more tanned than pink because of my undertones. It kind of just cancels out the redness and works quite well. So really pleasantly surprised with this, and like glad that I pulled it out, because as a budget foundation, this is very, very nice, very pleasant, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it at the moment. And from one extreme to another, we have got the Laura Mercier Flawless Radiance knew I was going to get the name wrong. The Flawless Lumiere Radiance Perfecting Foundation, and I have mine in 1N2 Vanille. Again, this looks yellowy next to my skin. It is not. It is almost like a true match to my white skin, like here, where my neck, like see how pale I actually am. It's probably a true match to that. I find it is very pale and needs a lot of bronzing and blushing to warm it up. Now, just because the colour is off does not mean that it's a bad foundation. That is just one of these things at the moment, especially when you've got to buy online or you can't get testers in store. What I am going to say though is I don't think I will reach for this that often. It's probably going to be one that I would reach for if we were going to maybe somebody's wedding or something like that. Again, depending on the time of year, because if it was in the summer, I probably would be a little darker than this, and I wouldn't want it, yeah, it's going to look a little funny on the face. It's nice, and when it settles into the skin after a couple of hours, it does have that flawless lumiere aspect. It looks very nice, it's radiant, it's gorgeous, your skin looks almost flawless, right? For me, that's just a little unnerving. For me, it just feels really odd, because I'm not used to it, that's all. I'm used to being like shiny and seeing pores and looking really like skin to the point that it looks a little greasy. That's just my cup of tea. So it was just a little unnerving. But if I was going on an event type thing like that, or an evening type thing where the lights are going to be a little bit low, then yes, I would probably wear this, but I would not pick it up again. And if I had got a sample of this, then I probably wouldn't have paid for the full price. For the simple reason, it is just not my cup of tea. I am not saying it's a bad foundation. I think it's just not my thing. It's just not for me, that is it. But I will keep it, and I probably will use it for if I do have any events like that, because the actual effect on the skin was pretty impressive. I'm just going to slot a photo in here in case you haven't seen the video where I spoke about this. I spoke about it a few times this month. Now that photo, obviously taken in front of a light box as well, which helps with skin like appearance. But it looks like I am airbrushed, right? It doesn't even really look like me, and I'm like, whoa, that is different. That is really different. And I can see why people might be like, oh, that's really nice, like that looks really beautiful. That flawless, almost alabaster type skin, and I get why people think it's lovely. It's just in real life, I felt it looked quite heavy in real life, and even though it is like you could see my skin peeking through, it just was odd. It was just strange to me, that's all. So I probably will keep this, maybe even mix it with a little bit more of a tinted moisturiser or a more radiant primer, and then use it for events, as I have said. But I don't think I'll pick this up again. It's just not me. It's just not me. I'm sorry to disappoint. I would like to try the Mercier tinted moisturiser because people rave about it. They absolutely rave about it. Now, the Shiseido Synchro Skin Self-Refreshing Concealer. This one, however, again, I said it at the time in that video, under the eyes, this is no bueno. This just isn't for me. I need that kind of concealer that's gonna be a little emollient and dewy, because I like it when under my eyes looks dewy and soft and as moisturised as can possibly be. And this, although it sets and it's beautifully, and colour wise it's very nice, and it certainly does a good coverage job, it's just a little too dry. Just a little too dry under the eyes, unfortunately. For pigmentation, spots, anything like that, perfect. Absolutely perfect. But is expensive. If you do prefer like a liquid concealer, the more traditional style of concealer, and I have to say the colour match was pretty spot on. A little bit yellow, but not bad. Not bad at all. It was almost exact. I don't know if you can see it there, it's just there. It was a very, very good colour match for me. This is 201. If you like that more traditional kind of concealer, the Maybelline eraser, like that one, that's the kind of ones I'm thinking about. Tarte Shape Tape, obviously it's better than that, because that's just, personally think it's horrific. It's better than them. I'm not saying it's like that. It's nowhere near that, but it isn't Glossier Stretch either. And everybody that I'd heard speak about this loves Glossier Stretch, so I expected this to come into that kind of realm. It doesn't. It's not the same. So if you really love Glossier Stretch, then I would stick to that. This is maybe a bit more like the NARS Radiant Creamy, but better, And my final face product is this one from the Physicians Formula, and it's their Butter Bronzer, right? On further inspection, this definitely says bronzer. It doesn't say light on it, but I went back into my order on Boots because I was like, have I picked up the wrong one? And when I go into the links, the one that looks like this is the light colour, but on the back of this packet, it just simply says bronzer, and it smells like coconuts and holidays. Absolutely does. It's like chocolate crossed with coconuts holidays. It's very, very nice. If you're not into that kind of thing, then that's fine. But it is a light bronzer. You can see it is a very light bronzer, but it works very well on my skin tone. I've got it on today. It's back here a wee bit more, but I think it's a very good bronzer for almost contouring my face as opposed to bronzing it. But for this time of year, I think this is very, very nice. It blends beautifully. I am pleasantly surprised, and not overly surprised because everybody told me how good it was, but I really, really like this. But it's definitely not the one with the yellow bit on the front. So what is that? Can somebody tell me what that is? I don't know. I thought I just picked bronzer. I went back and checked. I just picked bronzer. This is what I got, and it says bronzer on it, but it doesn't have that yellow writing on it. I have no idea. So I think you knew I was going to talk about this. This is the Club Nebula palette from Kaleidos with Angelica Nyqvist. Now, this is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. I really cannot say a bad word about this palette. I cannot. It's not your everyday go-to palette. it really isn't. But in saying that, I have found it's quite versatile. I think it's much more versatile than I initially thought it would be. I certainly have been using these kind of shades quite a lot in my day-to-day. I've got on today, so today I've got on Danessa Myricks Colour Fix over the top. It's just like a super duper shiny one. But underneath here, I've got a little bit of Samus on, I've got a little bit of Celestial on, and it's just like a pretty sparkly springtime look, right? This one here, again, I know it's probably a little bit more mauve, like it's definitely more cool toned on my skin tone, yeah? But doable for like a kind of more everyday look. And I just love the idea of this palette being like a pop of colours all over the lid. It works so well for that. This shade here, oh my god, what's it called? Red Giant. It is stunning. Like I can't even, never had as beautiful a red colour as that. They're just lovely and they are very pigmented. Yes, they are a little bit crumbly, I would say, especially with the kind of more shimmery ones. They're a little crumbly and they are a little, dusty sounds awful, but that's not what I mean. What I mean is they are very, very pigmented, so they have a little bit of kick up, but nothing that is unworkable. I used this one here, Void, with a Katie Jane Hughes look, would be last week now as you're seeing this, I think. And she done like a just gold all over the lid and then a blue winged liner, and I used that with a tiny bit of MAC Fix Plus. It was brilliant. It was absolutely beautiful. I am very much looking forward to summer because I think these are going to come into play. I think that the bright colours, the blues as well, like the aqua blues and stuff, I think this is beautiful. I think I'm so glad that I purchased this. Even if you can't get your hands on this, Kaleidos as a brand are amazing. Absolutely amazing. The shadows are amazing and you can get some kind of dupeable colours from their ranges from this palette. But if you can still get your hands on this at all, if it's possible, run, don't walk. Next up, the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette. Now, I done a kind of first impressions of this back in January and I haven't really spoke about it since, but behind the scenes this has been in my drawer consistently throughout this month and I have been using it, and actually it's quite nice. Initially my first impressions I was a bit like, I don't know, but this is actually very, very beautiful. Again, it's a much easier one to go like one and done looks, daily looks, and I found it a lot easier to reach for it and just be like, right, I just want to do a quick wash of colour, or I just want to do a really quick orangey, warm, smoky eye. There is like some pops in there that I've not really delved into yet, but actually it's really nice. You can make really nice ethereal, again, ethereal I think is the wrong word because I'm sure that's like an angel, but like washes of colour, like watercolours. It's really nice that way and I really am enjoying it. I think it's very, very nice and I will continue to use it. Probably when summer comes this will be on my face constantly. And lastly, is this lastly? I think this is the last cosmetic thing, then I'll go into a book and all that kind of shit. If you don't like that, that's okay, you can skedaddle. Lastly is the NARS Voyager, and this is in the shade Copper. It's just a little £6. It's gorgeous. It's so nice. And I don't think it's anything groundbreaking. It's a warm toned kind of orangey copper palette, but they're beautiful. They're so nice. I can't say a bad word about this palette. It's been so useful. And again, one that I just pull for that one and done. I just need something on my lids and get out the door. It's so nice. It's definitely one that I would take on holiday with me with a few kind of maybe individual eyeshadows or liners just to give it a little bit more something, but really useful. Throw in your bag on your way. If I needed something to go traveling with and I had no other choice, that makes it sound awful, I don't mean it that way. Just like if you could only take one shadow palette with you and that's it, you're not allowed anything else, then I would absolutely take this. I think it's very nice. This is nice because it's got the shimmers in it too. It's got ones that you can just do a little bit more with in regards to changing it up a little bit, because in the Petite Heat palette obviously you don't have any shimmers at all, so it just kind of breaks things up a little and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Very glad that I picked it up. Alright, so I know we're quite deep into the video now, but I am going to give a little bit of a trigger warning here, so if you do feel like you want to skip this bit or just vacate just now, thank you for watching and I'll see you again next time. But we're going to talk about abuse. It needs to be mentioned to talk about with regards to this book. So if you are triggered by that, or you don't want to discuss anything like that, or you don't want to watch it, I completely understand. That's all right. The book that I read this month is one that has been on my shelf since last year, and I just kind of haven't picked it up. The reason I didn't pick it up, I'm not gonna lie, it's a hardback. I hate reading hardbacks, which is a really silly thing to say, but it's just a pain. I just prefer a paperback. Anyway, it's My Dark Vanessa. It was prolific, I want to say, last year. I seen loads of people reading it, and I had a vague idea of what it was about, but I didn't really read too much into it. This is based around a young woman in her 30s now, I think 32 or 33, in 2017. But when she was 15, she was groomed by someone who was in their 40s and who was in a position of power. It was her teacher, and it jumps between, the chapters jump between 2000 and 2001 up until 2017. What I'm gonna say is, I found this a tough read for obvious reasons, but I also found it a tough read because, stick with me on this, initially I thought it was romanticised slightly. When I was reading it, I thought, this is a little 50 Shades of Grey. Surely not. Like, I can't read a book about abuse, child abuse, and it be so romanticised. But as I continued to read it, and it was one of these ones I couldn't put down. I finished it within a week. I just couldn't, which I know a lot of you will be like, that's a long time, but for me, that's pretty fucking quick, right? But I couldn't put it down. I wanted to keep reading it and keep reading it and keep reading it. So as I continued to read through it, it became a bit more apparent that clearly this was the view of the 15-year-old at the time, because of the manipulation and the grooming they had underwent, that they truly believed like this person loved them and were doing the right thing for them and actually were taking care of them. Like, yes, making them do sexual acts and even making them feel pleasure from it at 15, because like, you know, we're all discovering our bodies and things at that kind of age. It's an awkward age, and realised like this is a pleasurable experience, but it should not be with a gentleman who's 42, quite clearly. And so therefore it was a difficult read, because in this person's mind, in the girl's mind, she thought, well, no, they didn't rape me, they didn't do anything to hurt me, they actually took care of me and made sure I wanted to do all these things. And as I was reading it, I was like, oh, but I can see exactly why she thought like that, because if someone groomed someone, then you are at an impressionable young age like that, and believe me, we know what it's like you're 15, you think you fucking know it all, you absolutely do. You don't realise these things are necessarily wrong, or that someone is doing it for their benefit and not yours, and manipulating you until you get a bit older and you think, if I'd known what I know now, would I have done that? No, you probably wouldn't have. And it was difficult to read because I was like, it really kind of hit me in a few points where I just thought, oh God, like, yeah, you don't really think about these things till you get a bit older. You don't victimise yourself because it's been done in such a way where you think you've, you know, again at 15, you're thinking, I'm mature, I'm knowledgeable, like I do this by myself, and like blah blah blah. And it was a really tough read. I don't even know how to tell you. Like, it was a very interesting read and I couldn't put it down, but it made me really, at times, made my stomach flip, because I thought that I can see how that would affect someone as they grew up. I can, and personally, again, as I say, like, you don't actually realise these things till you get a bit older, and you think that probably did have a bit more of a effect on me than I really realised at the time. It's difficult, it's very difficult to read. And saying all that, I would very much recommend it. I thought it was really, really good, and I think the writing in it and the actual concept of the book is very good, and it's put it in a way that a bit more accessible, and in a weird way the survivor doesn't come across as a victim in a weird way, but then initially, like, eventually realizes, like, actually this has had a profound effect on my whole life and it will continue to do that. And it was just don't know what the word is I'm looking for, just really, it just really hit me. It just really hit me. And I think it's a very, very good book. I'm going to just read one of the things off the back. So it basically says, a brilliant and chilling portrayal of manipulation and abuse of power. And I would say that is exactly what it is. It's haunting. It's the power to change the shape around the conversation about girls, women, abuse and victimhood. And again, I would agree with that. I think it's a very, very interesting book, and I'm really, really glad that I read it. It's just a very difficult read. Prepare yourself. Alright, so now that I've baffled on for about a good hour there, and hopefully we'll be able to edit this down a little bit for you, that is my roundup for January, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that February, Alana. February. We're 2 months into 21. Oh my god. So I hope you've had a lovely month of February, and I hope you're all looking forward to the spring and the sun and a little bit more light in your life. But with all that being said, then I'm going to leave it here, and I will see you all again in the next one. Bye.